Hi, guys. This is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on The Supernatural.Show, a show that is not intended for entertainment purposes only. And today we're actually doing something, just a little impromptu show. Wasn't feeling up to it yesterday to do a full-on show, but I wanted to do a little impromptu call-in. I wanted to do it last week, but now I'm having problems with the call-in software. They've changed some things. So what I decided on a moment's choice of being able to do it was I'm going to allow y'all guys, anyone that would like to join the show right now, there's a link below. If you put it this way, if you're on YouTube, well, let me get the link here real quick. I'm going to put the link in the comments, and you can join the show directly and come right on stage with me and tell maybe a supernatural story or two that you have experienced in your life. It just needs to be something that's true and something that is of a supernatural or paranormal or pretty kind of that kind of story kind of thing. So if you'd like to join to do that today, the link is in the comments, and it's also below each of my YouTube channels, which is Logical Before Authority and The Supernatural.Show. If you're over on Rumble watching this or any of the other alternative channels, you should be able to see it in the comments. So you can go from there. What you'll do is I'll see you come in below here in my software, right below where y'all guys can see. And I'll see you there, and I'll bring you up. However, I will say this, just in case there's any bad actors out there that would want to be silly, because they can come on a live show and be silly. I've got this ready for you, and while this is playing, I'll be exiting you from the studio. I just want to take it back, putting the hillbilly in there because he was getting down. Kind of looked like me dancing, probably. But, so I have the gong ready. But again, with this show, what we're going to do, because it didn't work out where I could use the call-in software, because they're requiring you to log in and authenticate through. It's just a pain for me to be able to do it and use it and make it work here. So I decided just to put a link in the comments. The link is in the comments. You can join directly on here on the show. You don't have to share your camera if you're that nervous. You'll have the option to turn your camera off when you're coming in, and I would see you pop up down below down here. And what we're looking at on the screen right now is a severe thunderstorm, or a number of severe thunderstorms, with one of them particularly is really excited. And I've always, my entire life, really enjoyed, but really been fascinated by the weather, and I never knew why, but I actually understand it a lot better now, why I'm so fascinated with the weather. And it has a lot to do with a lot of the discoveries I've made about the toroidal nature of our world. Literally, the world is spelled world like a toroidal world. And the majority of things in nature that are natural in this world, they follow that design. Everything from hurricanes to supercell thunderstorms, which is what you're looking at right here. And so I've got a severe thunderstorm very close to me, so I'm kind of watching it here, and seeing what's going on and where it's moving and all those kind of things, and keeping up with the lightning. Each one of these little bubbles coming out is the thunder rolling out from the lightning strike. Each one of these dots is a lightning strike, and the thunder's rolling out. And we very well may get some lightning strikes here that you may even hear in the background, and hopefully the lights don't have any flickering and kick me off the air and all that today. But so again, if you'd like to join and tell a little testimony of something supernatural that happened in your life, or even if you got it burning inside you to speak out publicly and testify about how you come about finding God in your life. And you're welcome to come on and testify about that too. I meant for this to be a call-in, but the call-in software is not working very well. So I might, while we're waiting, I might just show some interesting photos that I'm always taking photos and taking photos, but more than that, collecting photos is what I do a lot. Oh boy, the wind's blowing really hard outside. This is something interesting right here. Let me open this up. This is, there's another image that goes with this that I'm going to show you in just a moment. And actually a couple of images. But these images I didn't get, where I got these from, let me just put it that way. Where I got this image from is off of the Mr. MMB channel. I'm sure most of y'all guys are familiar with him. He's not exactly a truther or a professed Christian, but he does get a lot of interesting photos, and he does get a lot of interesting video, and some of it I'll screenshot, and in the past I've even used a little bit of video clips and stuff. What we're looking at is this storm that someone filmed a little bit of. Okay, you can see it almost looks like it's wanting to form a tornadic funnel over here. But that's not as much what I'm interested in. It's, I've got several photos they look different than this, that are part of this that I'm going to show you. He shows these images, and this is the biggest thing.
There is one new severe thunderstorm warning for Montana.
Okay, that's not near here, so I ain't worried about that. He shows the photos, but he never really tries to discern and explain anything about what they are. And I don't know that I know for sure what's going on in this photo, but there was lightning in the storm, of course. And then in a number of the frames of the video, it had these images. This is like a straight down arc or a light. Let me show you a couple of the other ones. And if anybody enters the studio, I'll be able to hear when you enter. So y'all guys are welcome to join me here in studio. Your microphone has to be on, but your video can be turned off. Now this is the same storm, as you can see, but now that arc is shot off kind of at an angle. But the most impressive photo is actually the next one. Let me get it here. This one. Yeah, here we go. Take a look at this photo. This is the same storm, okay? A few moments later, and you can see the center of the storm. It's a supercell, and you can kind of tell it's got some rotation going on, and was about to throw down a little tornado there. But what is this spark right here? See this big one? Of course, we had the little ones like that. Uh-oh, the lights are flickering. Uh-oh. There went my think it might be still up. Hopefully everything's still good. Let me check. Our lights are flickering here. We got a bad storm outside. Let me see if we're still streaming. Looks like it. Okay, looks like it. Okay. All right. So let's just keep going. So what is the deal with these storms? See, I've been noticing things changing, and that's what I look for. I look for anomalies. And this storm had several anomalies. And I've been noticing that the lightning and the thunder, especially the thunder, is sounding differently. I don't know if y'all guys are noticing this. But this is something in a video of a thunderstorm that I've never seen before. I don't know if y'all guys have seen anything going on like this or not. But I thought it was kind of some interesting images that I wanted to share it with you. I'm not sure what is going on here. Well, let me just say this. The Bible talks about angels coming down with keys and vials. Okay, right? It is my discernment that the keys are related to sound. It's kind of like someone saying, can you play that in the key of E? Or can you play that in the key of? It's a frequency, it's a sound. And so when an angel comes down with a key, what they're doing is it's a frequency that unlocks something here in our world. It unlocks a change, or it makes a change. It's a key. It's kind of like a key unlocking a door. It's unlocking a change or something to change it. And I feel absolutely confident since April 8th that this has happened, that there's some changes that are, I think, continuing to take place. I mean, we had the 2 back-to-back eclipses, and then we had, during the eclipse, it went dark twice, which is unheard of, and then technically supposed to be impossible, but it's not. It was a supernatural event where it went dark twice during the eclipse. I know many of you have heard me talk about that, and since then, I've just been watching the storms, and I noticed that the weather is acting differently. Insects are acting differently, and our lights are flickering more. Okay. Cut what off? I think everything is still streaming. Oh, they are. Let me check. I haven't heard any. No, there's no one in studio. There's no one additionally that wasn't here in studio. If you're joining, come on in. Oh, Max. He's in studio. I don't see him. That's Chris that was on the show a couple of weeks ago. I see your message that says you're in studio, Chris, but I do not. You're not in the studio. If you were, I could see you here. So I'm not sure. I know that link works. They've always worked for anybody to join the studio. I'll post the link again, and it's also under the video, but I'll post it again in the comments. So Max, you're not in studio because I don't see you here. You should know how to join because you joined. You were here a few weeks ago, so you're welcome to come on in, brother. If you'd like to share some supernatural stories or do some testimonial work, which was basically what your last visit was about. But that link is in the description. Y'all guys can join. So, and we'll talk. And you don't have to have your camera on if you don't want to. And again, if anybody comes in here making a monkey of themselves, I'm going to get rid of you, just so you're aware. All right. So those are some kind of cool photos. And This photo here, you'll probably remember we did a show last Friday, and I happened to run across this photo, and it shows these things better. Now, this one you can tell is flying closer to the camera. This is one of those dragon things that Dr. Robert out in Del Rey Marina, something like that, out in California. Huh? Marina Del Rey, out of California, discovered these flying things that he ended up calling them dragons, even though they're not a dragon that we're aware of. But in this photo, you could see, and I do hear someone in the studio now. Looks like Chris is here in the studio. We'll bring you right in just a second, Chris. But you can see the wings on this thing a lot better. Let me zoom in on. You can see that it turns and pivots like if it's taken into account aerodynamics. And you can see that it has a wing, at least one wing on each side. And I thought that was pretty neat. And we've got Shannon in here too. Well, we're about to have a full house.
Hello.
Hello, Shannon. Chris, I ended up couldn't do call-in, so what I did was I put a link so if someone wanted to join and talk to us a little bit, that they could join like a guest, Okay. And that they didn't have to turn their camera on if they didn't want to. But Chris, Max, because he goes by Chris and Max, but he's here, and I'm going to join him in with us now, okay?
You got it.
Let me switch us to, there we go. And there is Mr. Chris, or Mr. Max.
Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all.
How you doing, my brother? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay, Chris?
I'm doing well, thank you, Daniel. Hope you are.
Yeah.
I can. I hope you can.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound good. We can hear you good. So what's going on with you today, brother? What'd you call in to share with all the viewers?
Cool. We're up and ready.
If you guys don't know, this is Max Maximum. He has his own YouTube channel. Well, as long as he can keep them up, he has one. He keeps getting terminated on a regular basis. But he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he's been going through a lot in his life right now with some health issues and everything else. So I appreciate you dropping back in, Chris. I keep calling you Chris. I'm used to that. I think there's a delay in the audio between me and you too.
That's fine, Daniel. I call you. My mama called me Chris, so.
So, did you call in to share a supernatural story maybe that you had, Chris?
We're okay.
I know you read them, so might as well share something.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the stage.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet a little bit. So
let's see. I've got earphones in and I'm trying to talk at the same time. It's getting a little weird. Okay. All right. All right.
The stage is yours, Chris.
I'm sitting on the couch. I've never heard a thing about any wormwood or anything like that. And for some reason, I'm literally picked up off of the couch. I mean, I had no idea. And I found myself out on the country road and atop a hill, and the whole world turned blue. And I looked to my left, and there's a sun setting. And sun being that big around, there was a planet beside it that big around, blue. It blew my mind. I didn't know what it was. So I went home and researched it. And that's when I discovered Nibiru, wormwood, blue kachina, red kachina. Yeah, that was
So
Pretty crazy.
you said you
That was just one thing.
you said you were
And,
sitting on the couch and you
I'll
were
turn my volume back on so I can hear what you're saying now.
so you were saying you were sitting on the couch and you were supernaturally lifted out of the house, you're saying, or you left the house and went and looked and seen this stuff?
Yeah, I didn't know why I got it. I have no idea why I was in my truck at that point in time.
So it was just some kind of a supernatural thing that happened that you don't understand, other than you've seen.
No idea. Other than to be shown. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Other than to be shown. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. I've seen some of your videos and stuff. Some recordings of, different objects that appear to be near the sun, or while the sun is setting in the west, that there's an object coming up in the east sometimes as well, and it is pretty fascinating. I don't know, honestly, don't know what to think about.
Yeah, it is. Tell you what, that's the thing. See, I've also filmed. Hang on, I'm gonna have to take these out of my ears so I can talk. After learning about Nibiru and all that, I couldn't stop watching sunsets, and I started watching all this stuff move towards our sun and then move out. And what I recognized they're the 7 planets we call stars, we call planets. They're not from somewhere else, y'all. I literally watched Uranus, Jupiter, all approach our sun, and then for 3 days or so, and then leave. During these times, shortly thereafter, seeing the blue Kachina and learning about the, Nibiru and wormwood. Now, let me finish my thought, and then I'll put my stuff back in my ears. Where did I go with that? Right, yeah, okay. 3 days before Notre Dame burnt, I watched Jupiter approach our sun, both with the naked eye and on webcams to Mexico, because I could watch it with the naked eye and then go home and watch, because I'm Eastern Standard, then watch Central Time, Mexico. And yeah, well, come to find out, Notre Dame is built on top of the ancient altar to Jupiter. So Jupiter approaches our sun. Macron says he won the popular vote by 66.6%, and he says, I am Jupiter incarnate, and then they burn Notre Dame, and it's actually a temple to Jupiter after I watch that. So, no, the black star is here with us all the time, and it is dominant now, and so is Uranus, which is the blue Kachina. And I have every reason to believe the red Kachina is Mercury.
Well,
in ancient times, they thought they were the gods. I mean, they were named after the gods. And I sometimes wonder if the things that were known or are known as planetary systems or planets or any of that kind of stuff isn't actually a being that we can't see properly in the dimensional space that we're in. It's just a thought to throw out there.
well, they used to think, and they still do, think and treat the luminaries like they're gods, or like they're deities. Okay,
Right.
I mean they've got them named. They've got the days of our weeks and the days of our week, and the days of the different months of the year, and they're all named after all these deities. So, in my opinion, they still believe it. And I'll put it like this. I don't believe NASA's story. I don't believe any of NASA's story. I don't think for a second that there are little green men on another planet 50 million light years away, or these kind of things, or another civilization on another planet that's a little spot of light in the sky. My When I woke up in my time and started realizing that everything was a lie, I started questioning everything, and I prayed about everything, and I asked God to have the Holy Spirit lead me down that path. And you can't get led down these paths in a day or a week or a month. It normally takes years. That's been my experience, and that how I've been shown that that the things like Jupiter, Saturn is a really good example, and so is Jupiter. That they are a toroidal energy field that's spinning and holding a pattern based on the geometric patterns of frequency that run around how God spoke and created the frequencies that it created and controls everything that's here. And so those stars are the ones that, like specifically Jupiter and Saturn, you can see that they're a toroidal spinning energy cloud, and one of them has a halo around it. Saturn does, like a halo or that kind of thing. And I don't believe for a second that those are what NASA says they are. NASA is the word basically for deceive in Hebrew. And the English language is all based off of previous languages. And you have to go back and try to understand the words you're speaking by looking at what the words that they mean in different languages, especially like Hebrew and Latin. And so, yeah, I agree with both of you that these things aren't what they say.
Well, there's scripture that says it talks about the wandering stars in
Mm-hmm.
whom it is reserved the blackness and the darkness forever, which is famously quoted in a Portishead song that was very popular in the 90s. But that passage has always stuck with me, and it just seems like a lot of these bodies in space that we are questioning definitely have much more supernatural
Yeah, it's just not a
hits to it.
giant rock that just
Right.
happens to be floating around out there. None of these things, including the moon, are just giant rocks that happen to be balanced and floating around in the exact right path, for millions of years. And it's just, I don't believe it for a second. Everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe. I really want, my goal is to whatever it is that I'm believing, it is the actual truth of the situation. And, so when I say they believe that the stars are deities and this, and then I come right back behind it and say, I think that they're deities as well. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that I agree with their religion. Okay. I believe that they are worshiping these lower deities that hold these positions. They're worshiping them because of they've been doing it for thousands of years, going back past Babylon, and Babylon of old. Currently, now we're in current Babylon of new, mystery Babylon, but um, they've been doing it for thousands of years, all the way back into Egypt. All of their hieroglyphics and everything were all designed, and they show you the different stars and the Pleiades and Jupiter and all these things, and they built the pyramids based off of Orion's belt, and not just its belt. It's like, if you're going to spend as much time as they building the pyramids, why would you invest so much time and energy into something like that if whatever it was you were mimicking? Because typically humans mimic their gods, whatever it is they believe is higher than them, a higher level god, even down to sports stars. People that drive fast trucks, you'll see this redneck little kid got his truck set up, jack down in the back, just like all this, because he's mimicking his hero or his god. And in the case of the Egyptians, they believed that what they were seeing was gods as well. And personally, I don't think really Egypt ever exactly died or went away.
Right.
It seems like it's built into all of our government and all of our controlling society of the people in the world today. And
You're speaking of the Anunnaki, Daniel. You're speaking of the Anunnaki.
Yeah, that's one word for them. The way I see it is, it's fallen gods. It's
Right.
they've given over these many thousands of years. Every different period of time, they'll come up with a new set of names for these beings, these deities, these fallen gods. What I prefer to.
When I found that, when I saw that Blue Casino, when I looked into it, I found the Hopi, and the Hopi are the ones that called them Anunnaki, and that means ant people. And they claim that they came up out of the ground and told them, there's a red planet coming by. You need to get underground when we tell you, store your grain like this, and chill, and we'll let you know when to come back up. And they did. And that was the Hopi story.
Right. Yeah.
And they say they're benevolent beings from within the earth, and they are ant people. And 600 of them, when you talk about the fallen, that you're talking about the conehead mothers that came with the 600, and 200 of them followed Lucifer and left their fifth estate, and they could become anything they wanted, so they just became good-looking men and defiled our women. So no, the Anunnaki are not the people. Oh, the Palladians are coming to 5G us into a new ascension. Go ahead, see you later. No,
Yeah.
I don't want nothing to do with them. They are lesser gods. Now, did they make us? It says in the Bible. What does it say, Daniel? It says, let us make them. Well, they're talking about our flesh and blood body, not our spirit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These flesh and blood. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, let me turn my mic off. Go ahead, Mike.
No, you're good, Chris. The Anunnaki, I've read, I haven't read it again in a while, but I've read that, and I've read all the stories about the planet that comes with them on it, and they were looking for gold and all these reasons, and how that's tied to why gold is so expensive and prized and all this.
And that is all red herring bull-loney. They're just confused. That's all just confusion is all it is. You got to remember, these flesh and blood bodies are not you. You are not what dies. No, you're not what dies. The body dies. Your spirit is made in God's image, not these flesh and body that poop. Come on. It's the spirit.
Our bodies have glimmers and reflections of the image of heaven and things like this, I believe. But
absolutely, yes, that's the toroidal field you're referring to. Everything is built. Well, every atom is literally a toroidal field. So there you go.
Exactly, all the way down to the atoms. They're all,
and that's God's voice, and that's our Creator's voice. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love God. I mean, He's put me through pure well, I don't know that He has. Demons have come upon me in the past 2 years, and I still love God. I still love Lucifer. He's my brother. I wish I could help him. Dumbass. I'm sorry for my language.
Well, that's okay. We are supposed to pray for them.
I mean, it is important to love thy enemy, and those were Jesus's words.
Yep. I love him enough to put him out of his misery if I could get a hold of him.
Well, God created him too, in his ways and his understandings, and he has a purpose in this world. I suppose it is part of the refining purpose, in order to, if everything was flowers and kittens and steak dinners in this world, and there was never nothing that was bad or went wrong, and there was nothing bad what would we
Be
learn?
pretty dang boring. Be pretty boring, wouldn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, it'd be pretty
Yeah,
boring.
yeah. I'm thinking. You know, I don't want to go sit on a cloud and listen to harp music all day. I really don't. I mean, I appreciate the offer, but wow, I'd get bored doing that. I'm gonna have to have a little more of a challenge than that. Maybe that's why he sent me back here.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out when we get back.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It sure is. I can't wait to dance with you, brother, at the wedding. I really can't.
There
Yeah,
is one
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of fun.
I think that these experiences that we're all having, and it seems like we're all in this place called the Earth or the world. You know, these experiences that we're having is part of. It's supposed to be part of our growth. You know, and if you read a lot of the Bible, it ain't meant to be easy. It's meant to be a grind. It's meant to be a fire that you have to walk through. You're meant to have to face these things that come up against you. Like I've had to face a lot of things, and I know all of you have, including both of y'all guys that are here, because I know you both pretty well. So we're supposed to go into these fires. We're supposed to have that faith. We're supposed to learn the hard way and then come back and say, okay, I'm repenting of that. I ain't doing that again. And then fix it and move on and then find the next challenge and defeat it. And this life itself is a challenge that we must overcome. We must defeat it. At least we're not back thousands of years before Christ came. You know, back then, it was a lot more difficult, I believe. And to be able to find salvation and be able to escape this matrix was a lot harder. But in God's infinite wisdom, of course, that's why he chose to send an image of himself down here with us in order to plant the seed to set us free.
That love that was in that man's heart, that was that image that he sent. Daniel, I have physical evidence that I can show you around the world. I can put you on it within 20 miles of your home. That tells me there ain't no thousands of years. It's hundreds of years. They're lying to us. The timelines are hundreds of years, y'all. And I can prove it demonstratively.
Well, kind of explain a little bit more about what you're saying.
All right. You know, there are huge monolithic buildings all around the world that we call mud flooded, right?
Okay.
How about red brick buildings? Obviously built for us. The arches are for our size. The windows are for our size. And they're silt filled 2 floors all around the world. Every township I go to, I found a building like that. Red brick built for, right.
Full of mud.
And these buildings cannot be more than 400 years old. I am a builder, y'all. I've built all my life. That's what I do for a living. I am certified beyond belief. No stuff. And those buildings cannot be more than 400 years old, and they are silt flooded 2 floors deep. Explain that one.
And this exists all over the United States, doesn't it?
No, all over the world, Daniel. You can find them all over the world.
So what we're having is we're having frequent resets.
Yep.
And some are greater than others.
And when we look into it, it goes right along, like when people call it was event 201. No, y'all, that's event 21. You do not use, that's the globe. Number 1, they're lying about. Number 2, that's not a 0, and you throw out the 0 in gematria. So that's event 21 to event 30. Those are 9-year cycles. The sun goes through 9-year cycles, 18-year cycles, 36-year cycles, 360-year cycles, and we're at the end of a 3,600-year cycle. And we're going into Aquarius. And what is the dominant planet of Aquarius? Uranus. And what is Uranus? It's a blue life-giving planet. Saturn is a dead septic planet. We're going into a life-giving golden age. That's my opinion. And I want to be here for it. And I got to beat this cancer so I can be here.
Indeed.
and I'm going to. Yep, and I'm going to with the love of y'all. Daniel, you've been such a strong stalwart for me, man. I've been down the dumps. You brought me out of it. Did you check your post office box yet? I sent you a little something.
No.
Go check it, and
It's my brother's post office box, and it's about 2 hours. No, excuse me, about an hour and 15-minute drive from here, and my car is in such bad shape. It's hard for me to get over there. But
okay.
But I'll
If he can swing it by you,
we'll get it pretty soon. But I'll check that.
If you
I'll let you, I get it.
Yeah. If you, well, let me put it this way: he doesn't have to take it to the bank; he can take it straight to the store. If you'll say it, just when next time we text, I'll get your home address and send you a little something. That way, you ain't got to go so far to grab it.
Well, thank you, brother. Yeah, I just used the PO box. Right.
Yeah.
You know, somebody like you would be fine, but just to put your actual home address out there on the internet, you're asking possibly a knock over by a well-meaning person that's going to scare the crap out of you.
Yep.
You know, random people door in the middle of the night.
So you want to know another supernatural? Here's another good one. This is a really good one. Now that one was cool, but here you go. Here's a good one. Okay. I go out on my front porch of the big house in Enochville. That's kind of a neat story. I built in Enochville and I live in Nebo. Nebo is where Moses bought the I built. Weird. I didn't know that. But getting back to what I was saying. So I go out in the front porch and my son's in Oregon, losing his mind, and he's an alcoholic. So I'm praying for him to get off the bottle. And I've got my camera pointing at the sky, and I'm looking at the ground, and my elbows are on the rail of the porch, so I'm not seeing what I'm recording. And I immediately just upload it to YouTube. Within minutes, I'm getting phone calls, texts, comments. Did you see the 3 angels appear in the sky while you were praying for your son? I'm like, what? So I go back and look at the video. Sure enough, 3 obvious angels appeared the moment I started praying for my son.
Right.
So I go show my agnostic ex-wife, my best friend in the world. She's always been doubtful. She trips her out, starts crying. The next day, I said, well, do you believe in God now, honey? She said, well, you know. I said, hey, you want me? I said, oh, Doubting Thomas, huh? She didn't know who that was. I told her who it was. I said, let's do it again, huh? Come walk with me. And I went out there and started doing the exact same thing. And then I heard her gasp and go in the house. And I finished, stopped, and replayed it. They showed up again. I went into the bedroom, master suite. She was bawling, crying on the bed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty strong. And it wasn't long after that when she got cancer and passed.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think she found God right before she died. That was powerful. Man, when it came the second time, that blew my whoa. I mean, the first time was pretty crazy. That was pretty. And I want y'all to know how all this has come about. I asked God 3 nights in a row, bawling my eyes out, to show me what I need to know and to guide my hands and my eyes to help people. That's why. And I did it for 3 nights in a row, and I meant every word of it. And he answered my prayers. Just ask. He'll show you. Ask. Be prepared, because whoa, what he'll show you will blow your mind. Blew my mind.
Indeed.
So I'll shut up now.
So, Max, you got someone says that they live in Enochville as well. It says, I live in Enochville, Max. I don't know. It says his name is Kent Sullivan, and supposedly lives there close to you, I guess. Oops, can't hear you right this second.
See, I live right off of Tuckasegee on Surrey. Yeah, so you should be familiar with that. Right off of Highway 3 is where the house was. I've sold it now. I don't live there now.
Well, you got a neighbor there. Let's see. Looking at the comments, see if anybody's asking any questions or anything real quick. Just a lot of chat going on, looks like. and they wanted to make sure you got that message too there, in which we've talked about this, Chris, but cancer being a parasite, and because of its attributes and its natures, it's pretty obvious that it's parasitic in nature, no matter if it's something you can pick up and look at or not. It has the attributes of being that, so therefore you treat it like it is one of the ways to make sure to incorporate that into your treatment, is to treat it like a parasite, starve it of sugar, and then also treat it with parasite treatments. You can find that in your local pet store called Panicure. I know Shannon knows what I was talking about because she's done a bunch of research on it. I know Chris does too. I'm just reminding y'all guys as the viewers about that, in case you know someone that needs it. Matter of fact, you can go to a website that's called mycancerstory.rocks. mycancerstory.rocks. And there's a ton of information there. Give you the short version, the real short version. This man worked in a pet laboratory where they were doing tests on pets. Him and his friend ended up discovering that they were curing rats of cancer by treating them for parasites. And because the rats had cancer, because they were running tests on the rats with cancer, but they got worms, so they started treating them with Panicure. It cured the cancer, and they were like, what happened here? And so that whole story is on there, and with thousands of people testifying about the fact that when they did the same thing, it cured them. And it's not an overnight cure, but it is a cure. So, with that being said, well, Chris, about your angels that you've seen. Of course, you know, not everybody here listening knows this about me, but you know, and Shannon knows, of course, that I've told the stories many times about I've had experiences with angels somewhere around 60 times, with a total of angels that I could actually see probably at this point of 100 and I don't know, 130, something like that. And they are always some around, no matter where you're at, who you are, there are always these angels around. It's just a matter, sometimes they choose to show themselves, and they'll appear just like the Bible describes them, as bright white and round all about. There's other ways that the Bible describes them as well, like a wheel of fire, a wheel turning in on itself, which is a toroidal field. And the angels' essence exists within that light. That light is being put off. That pure white light is because they're from heaven. And just like God, you can't see them. You can't look even upon God. You can see the light from the angel, but you can't see the angel. We're not allowed, unless they choose on God's will, to allow us to see the angels. But when you see these videos, like on Mr. MMB's channel or other places out there where these people are saying it's a UFO and it's a ball of light in the sky, whether it's white or maybe it's amber, like a fire color, it's high likelihood you're looking at an angel is what you're looking at. You're not looking at aliens. You're looking at something that God put here from the beginning, and you won't hear this come from anybody that's legitimate on like mainstream to ever tell you the truth about angels and what they are and what they look like. And they're there doing God's bidding, and it's something more supernatural than we can understand. But they're there doing God's bidding, and whatever that is, maybe to watch over you, or maybe they're watching over a whole community. I do know that angels not omnipresent, meaning they can't be here and somewhere else. They're going to be in one place doing one task. And I've actually got a documentary that some of you have seen. It's called UFO Orbs and Lights in the Night Sky, or Lights in the Heavens. Looks like we lost Chris there, Shannon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I think that might be on YouTube, that documentary. You've seen that before, haven't you, Shannon? I know we've
Yes.
covered it on a show one time. Might do that again here soon because it's just such a fantastic, phenomenal, supernatural fact. In my heart, I know it's a fact because they've come to me. They've shown themselves to me. They've flown over my head. They've come in front of me and struck the ocean with a lightning bolt. You know, they've demonstrated some of their attributes to me, and the flashing, like most of us remember that video of out there in Israel above the Rock of the Dome, that dome building there, and that white light came down to it, and it sat there for a second, then it flashed and then struck straight up. I've seen angels do that. All those things. I've seen angels do it. Looks like Chris is back. Looks like it.
I saw a flashing light several times for 3 days straight before I saw the angel, before the CV came out and the prison time in our homes.
Yeah, right. And Shannon's had a little orb, some type of entity, angelic probably in nature, but a little one show up in her little studio closet that she has all of her stuff set up in normally. She's outside today, but she's had them, we've seen them fly around her in there, which, you know, I can only speak about the ones that I've seen, the big ones that are about the size of a Volkswagen. I've seen those a lot. I haven't seen the real little ones a lot, but I have seen a few of them, but not very often. You've had more experience with those than I have. So welcome back, Mr. Max. He's chowing down, and boy, one thing about it, he ain't worried about what other people think, and that's a good thing. Be you, Chris. It's fine. I love you just the way you are, my brother.
Just the way you are.
All right.
Oh, wow. I got to laugh today. Wonderful. Thank you. Oh, man.
You're welcome.
It's good medicine. But that's something you've always been, is just you, and you don't worry about it. And that's something cool about you, Chris, is that you just be you. And if people like you, great. If they don't like you, that's their problem. They're the ones missing out because Chris is a good old boy.
Oh, you're muted.
Thank you for your support.
I think he's doing it himself. You're welcome. All right,
Yeah.
let's see.
What else you want to talk about?
Well, if you have
Supernatural.
if you happen to have another story, we'd be happy to listen to it. We're going to wrap up here in a few minutes. Going to keep making a short show today. But
So
I
no
would like,
stuff.
I would like to hear if you have one.
Here you go. Oh, here we go. All right. Okay. All right. So I get lifted off the couch. I see the blue katina. I go, look. I find fear porn. Hopi gives me hope. Wow. The Hopi Indians and the Lakotas give me hope. Wonderful. Okay. I can't stop watching sunset. I see, and I know you know this, I see this, 3 wandering planets, we call them stars, whatever. 3 wandering stars line up with Leo. Sorry, y'all. Hang on, man. Let me get this noise out of the way. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, it's hard to control all the noise pollution
Yeah.
when you're outside.
Yep, there it is. See how that happened? Right on time, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that funny? Right on time. So no stuff. Where was it? Yeah, okay. All right. No stuff. Huh? 3 wandering stars. The sun was at her shoulder, bathing in her light. Moon was at her feet. Jupiter had been in her belly for 9 months. Jupiter leaves her belly, goes straight towards Okafukus, where the red dragon's waiting to devour her. I see this September 23rd, 2017, rise right in front of the Sphinx, as if the Sphinx was put there to witness that. That started the 7 years of tribulation for me. And it has been
that. And come September, we're done. Can somebody tell me, is there more tribulation after that, or do we go into the golden age?
After this September, well, I'd rather go with your story that it's going to be done in September, to be honest. I
Me
don't know
too, man.
the ones that set those timelines. I think that we are in those timelines. They basically just tried to genocide the majority of the people on the planet. How could you not say that we're not in end times?
Exactly. I mean, we're talking 1 billion people were either maimed or injured with warp speed. That's not including the wars we've had.
Right. Now let's all code our words on this subject, but we can talk about it.
Oh, my apologies.
No, you did good. Warp speed, that's fine. And you didn't say nothing. I'm just preempting any accidents. But yeah, I mean, how can you not be in the end times if they just try to basically injure or take out pretty much the majority of the population of the world in the last 2 years? And who can say we're not in the end times? For me, the day that they made it official, that Trump made it official, it was in March the 7th or something like that. I'd have to go pull it back up and look at the dates. But
it was March 13th, 2021, and it was 500 years, nearly to the day, after the Templar Grand Wizard was last burnt at the stake by the French king who owed him a bunch of money. So instead of the king paying back the Templars, he just burned them at the stake. And 500 years later, Trump handed us over to FEMA, and then Mike Pompeo stood up and said, "We're under exercise here, y'all. Military exercise." There it is. That's what I said.
He told everybody this was an exercise.
Yep. And that put us, and Trump put us under FEMA, which is UN. So we're literally under the UN right now.
Oh yeah, still. This country hasn't gone under a natural.
I'm glad you brought that.
Talk, girl. Tell us so.
I'm just saying that, yes, and especially those who have had the thing.
Yep.
They are patented. There's a patent out there.
They really are.
Because they are owned now.
They're not.
They are a new breed. Yep. They've actually coined a new word for them. They are no longer Homo sapien.
I actually have somebody calling the Supernatural Show right this second. Let me see. This should be interesting. This is Daniel.
Hi. There is one new special marine warning.
Hello?
My name is Christopher from Oklahoma.
Christopher?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hi. Nice to meet you, Christopher. I'm actually live on the Supernatural Show right now. And we're doing kind of a different kind of a show today with people calling in. And as well, you did call in. So I decided to answer, but I am live on the show right now. Is that something we can talk about now, or do I need to speak to you after the show? Hello?
Do you mind if you put the StreamYard mute on your chat?
You mean mute my show?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I just had a ton of noise. I wasn't able to hear a word y'all said. So if you were talking to me, I apologize.
Turn my show off.
It's okay. He's
I can call you
talking
back
on
in just a few
phone.
minutes.
But yes,
I can stay on the hold.
You can stay on hold.
Interrupt.
I would like to tell so to who's on your panel too.
Would you like to speak to everybody so they could hear you what you want to tell, or you want to tell this to me privately?
I would like to speak to everyone.
You'd like to speak to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can make that happen or not, but we'll try. Okay. Go ahead and
we can hear pretty good already, Daniel.
Yeah, well, I've got it right up close to the mic now. So this is uh, I apologize that your name's done slipped my mind here. I'm a little outside of my normal thing,
There
but
is one new severe
but yeah,
thunderstorm warning for South Dakota.
let me turn that off so we won't get any more interruptions from that. So, but no, everybody can hear you now.
Hi, my name is Christopher. I'm from Oklahoma. I lost a friend of mine in a car accident, and then one in a and then one died 2 years ago on October 18th. He was like an uncle to me.
Okay.
And then also my cousin died on July 28th of a drug overdose. He would have been 41 on July 29th. Our kids are 17, 14, and 11.
I'm very sorry to hear about that.
And I am 25. I was born March 10th, 1999. And sometimes I have mental health issues, but your channel really helps me. And I just found it for the first time on YouTube, and I will be watching it.
Well, that is, I'm sorry to hear about some of your family and friends that you've lost, but I'm also very happy though to hear that the channel helps you and the work I'm doing helps you. That does make me feel really good, and so I surely thank you for that and for your kindness.
And what's your channel on YouTube called again?
Well, I've got 2 channels on YouTube. One is called The.Show.
The Supernatural Show. That's the one that I found today.
Okay. Yeah. Just make sure you subscribe or bookmark it or something, because YouTube will try to slip me away from you so you won't find me again. So you got to make a little effort there. And then my other channel is called Logic Before Authority, and I put I put videos on there too.
And hey, so it's very nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you too. I greatly appreciate you calling.
Can you tell everyone I said hi on panel for me?
They can hear you. She's want to make sure y'all guys know she's saying hi.
Blessings and salutations.
Shannon says, "Bless you."
I said blessings and salutations.
Blessings and salutations.
Too, of course.
Yeah.
And sometimes, if I want to, can I talk to you guys on panel? Sometimes.
Yeah, you sure can. Yeah, that's why we built this, to be able to communicate with the people. This is everybody's show. This isn't just Daniel's show.
Thank you for letting me call in, and I will hang up now, and I will watch on the Supernatural now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, ma'am. And I send you.
My name.
Go ahead.
What are you going to send me?
I was just going to say I'm going to send you a big hug.
My name is Christopher from Edmond, Oklahoma. I'm actually a guy. I'm not a man.
Oh, I am so sorry about that. It's kind of hard to tell over the phone. Well, I sure do.
You have a good day, sir.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Well, that's a first. But it's kind of hard to tell over the phone, with voices sometimes. But that was a really, still a very sweet man,
Oh yeah. I live in Oklahoma. Wow. Huh. You ever been to Oklahoma? That place is backwards. I love y'all out in Oklahoma, but y'all are backwards as hell.
I've been through Oklahoma on the freeways and made a few stops, but I haven't spent much time. Oh, wait a minute. I went to Oklahoma City and I went there one time to pick up a Jeep, and I went down to where the Oklahoma City building used to be. And I went there and kind of checked that out and everything, where they claim that, this guy came with a truck full of stuff that they gave him, and they set him up, and they put him up to it and paid him to do it and all this, and then blame him for it, of course.
Yeah.
That's how
I've got, I'm okay. Being a 9/11 truther, I looked into that real hard, and you won't believe what that was truly about. Number one, Agent Orange mutates your genes, which means every generation after Vietnam of those that were sprayed with should get compensation. They couldn't have that. It would have bankrupted the military, and the records were in that building. That's why it was taken down. So every generation after Vietnam that were born to Vietnam vets that were sprayed are genetically mutated in some way or fashion, and will end up with cancer or worse.
I don't doubt it. Man, they've done such evil stuff in this world.
All to keep from paying money, they can freaking print out of thin air. They can print money out of thin air, and they won't help those people. And they went through all that stuff to hide it.
No, they won't. They're on all sides of that deal, and all wrong on every side. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
That,
I can think of two people right now that could cure all homelessness and all hunger tomorrow. Bezos, Gates. Do they do it? No. Reality gives itself away. These people either do not have that kind of power, or I mean, how could you have that power and not utilize it?
Because they're the ones creating the problem. To give them that power, they don't have the power if they can't create problems, because problems cause reactions, and reactions need solutions, and that's what they like to provide, is the problem and the solution.
Hegelian dialectic.
Yep.
It's the spirit that they run on. It is a supernatural thing. It is. We don't fight against flesh and blood. It's the spiritual realm, the principalities, and they're run by what runs this world. But this is all meant. This is all to be. This is to pass. So we eventually can be in heaven forever. And I pray against the enemy's wiles every day. But whatever God's will is for us to go through to get to him eternally, and to bring him to, or to bring us to him is what it is we got to go through. And it's really awesome that we have this platform in the way that we do, that we can talk about these things and wake up people to what's really driving the darkness in this world.
I think
where to go from there and to go to Jesus. What's that? I can't.
it's ringing again.
Oh,
Shall we take another call?
Yeah,
sure.
let's take another call. You're on the Supernatural Show. Welcome. Did you answer?
Daniel?
This is Daniel.
Hi, Daniel. This is Sean Fraser here calling. My call name is The Stupendous Chumler, but I couldn't get through with the link. So I thought I'd just give you a jingle.
Well, it worked. It worked. We can hear you better than the last caller. You're for whatever reason, you're a little louder. So I appreciate you calling. So yeah, everybody can hear you right now. You're live on the Supernatural Show.
Well, thank you. We touched base some time ago, and I sent you photos of a hand impression on my wall.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it had 6 fingers, and it was sizably bigger than my own hand.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't explain how it got there or when exactly, but you made a comment that kind of opened my eyes and explained why
or what the impression may have consisted of, because I knew it wasn't paint, because nobody had painted those walls since I moved in the house 20 years ago. And it wasn't paint. You looked at it and it wasn't paint. But then you mentioned something to me and you said, well, I've heard they got really oily residue on their handprints. And I said, I'll bet that's what it was.
Oh, yeah. I kind of remember now.
I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember that exchange or not.
How long ago was this?
Oh, my goodness. This might have been a year or two.
Yeah, it has to do with their hair and their skin. It has a lot to do with how they are not visible to us. It has a lot to do with that. But because it's on their hands and on their body, they'll leave impressions like that sometimes when they touch things, because they're actually there.
Right, and the Nephilim have 6 fingers.
Yeah, and then of course it's
That's
tied back
noted.
to the Nephilim bloodline, likely because of the 6-finger thing that you're talking about.
Right. And the more I looked into it and found or discovered that, the basis of it, the biblical, perception of it, in that they want to inhabit and they want to take pleasure in the flesh.
Uh-huh.
And it dawned on me that when I was deep in my sleep and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm being honest here now, I grew up during the 70s and the 80s, and I was exposed to a lot of pornography.
Right.
And I got into pleasure in myself. And that's a shameful thing.
Right.
And we know that by scripture too.
Right.
But I'm convinced that these creatures want to heckle and make fun of you and see you do stupid, ridiculous things. Things that are not a pleasure in Almighty's sight. Just something where they can laugh at you and heckle and make fun of you. But I wasn't really getting into. I just kind of wanted to touch base. That's where we made our initial first contact.
Right.
But I have some more exciting news that I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
And that was, I actually finished my second narrated recording of the New Testament Bible.
Wow.
And this one that I just completed, I did in the Scots dialect, or, of Scotland. The broad Scots.
Uh-huh.
Not the Gaelic, but the Scots language, like the original, like what they used to use in the courts back in the 1800s.
Wow, that's amazing.
And now it gets even exciting. It's more exciting when I tell you about the first one that I did, the first New Testament, and I had contact with the group. It was the Christian Bible Society. And they published the Bible anonymously. They didn't want to receive any credit or lauding for their accomplishments. They just really wanted to know what the Bible said and what the Scripture said. So they did. It took them 16 years to make this translation that they based entirely on the Koine, or the Common Greek. And when I had contact with them through the gentleman that introduced me to them, he discovered them online. But they couldn't keep up their website because they just didn't have the funding. I mean, nobody's interested in the Bible. Nobody's listening to my recordings. Nobody wants to hear about it. But that just goes to show the day and age that we live in right now.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
I want to hear that. I want to hear it. I want to hear his. Yeah, please send the link to that recording. I'd love to hear that Gaelic one.
Right. Yeah, that is totally amazing. But I think you got more to say. But yeah, I would like to hear it myself, but I wouldn't be able to understand it either. But the English one you would clearly understand.
Okay. But I'm still trying to get to the most exciting part of it all.
Okay.
And that is through this friend of mine that he reached out to them, and he was corresponding with them by letter, by snail mail. And I sent them a letter, and they wrote me back. But this friend of mine, we left, the man-made religious, government-sanctioned church organization together. And we were searching for the truth. And we were just meeting in our homes, and we were remembering the Master's sacrifice. And he got a letter from this group of publishers, and it was one of 72 letters that they sent out. And they sent it out in like a last plea for financial assistance because they're going through a rough spell. A lot of them didn't have electricity. They were living out of trailer homes and all kinds of situations. And they were getting old, too.
Right.
Really smart, people, older people. Anyhow, they wrote in this letter, they wrote this letter in 2005, and they predicted that things would start getting really rough in 2020. And they spoke about a 10-year period of time that it would last. Now, they base all of this on a different perspective that I had never heard about before. Now, I grew up in so-called Bible-based evangelical type churches, growing up. That's what I was accustomed to.
Right.
And so I heard all the standard, the pre-millennial, the post-millennial, the this, that, and the other, the pre-tribulation, post-tribulation, and a lot of it I just didn't take to it. But they mentioned this other perspective, the historicism perspective. And if you look up the historicism perspective, you hear a lot of scoffers say, oh, that's way off because they thought the 1,000-year reign was, way back when or whatever. And it's being raised up again. People are bringing up that nonsense again as if his kingdom has already reigned on the earth. And he said his kingdom's not of this earth. And when he does come back to dwell with us, the earth is destroyed and there's no more sun or moon in the sea. So he hasn't obviously come back yet. But so these people that say he's come back and the 1,000-year reign has already occurred is just a bunch of malarkey to me.
Yeah.
But when you look at the historicism perspective, it's like what it reminds me of is how when people said Noah's Ark, oh, it's not on Mount Ararat. We can't find it anywhere here. There's no evidence for it. Well, when the guy looked into the mountains of Ararat, and then they looked into Turkey, and people said, oh, yeah, his descendants came off here, and there's anchors laying in the ground over there. They were looking altogether in the wrong place. Just like this historicism perspective, they were looking in the wrong place. Or when Egyptologists say, oh, there were no Hebrews in Egypt. They never were here. There was never an Exodus. There was no evidence of slavery. And then you find out that they were looking at the wrong time period altogether. It's like the adversary always wants to misdirect. Right. So when I looked into this more, this historicism perspective of theirs, it made a whole lot of sense. Because what they discovered, or what from their I won't say they discovered, or they made claim on it, or they created it, but through their diligent study, this is some of the things they discovered. And they said that the book of Revelation of the Master is actually a collection of 7 different visions. And the 7 different visions cover different time periods throughout all time. And the 7 churches are time periods. And apparently, according to what they're convinced of, is that we're in the 5th time period of Sardis. And if you look at all the 5th time periods, or the 5th trumpet, the 5th seal, the 5th this, that, and the other, you see that that 5th time period is mentioned in 5 of the 7 different visions. And the 5 things that are mentioned in those 5 visions about this period of time in Sardis is the Babylon falls, or, we know what Babylon is. Peter said he wrote from Babylon. It's the current money system today. And Peter wrote from Babylon. And his letter is, I think, his first or second letter. I don't recall. But Babylon falls. The beast system rises. The two prophets are dead. And they explain that too, because everybody wants to say, well, it's this prophet or that prophet, and because of this, that, and the other. But they said, when you consider that those lampstands, those two true prophets, they had their own source of oil. Now, there's only one that has a source of its own life-giving oil, or light-producing oil, and that is the Word. The Almighty is spoken, him himself. He's the source giver, the creator of life. So those two prophets are the old and the new contracts, or, testaments made to men. So they die.
Covenant.
That occurs
Covenant.
in that time period as well. But then they're resurrected. And there's a great harvest after that. That's in the next period of Philadelphia. But then there are the two other things were, this is really fascinating now, when I put these and made this connection. But they said that this time period that we're in of Sardis began in the late 1800s, in 1881, and that it would end in 2030. But then there's a 10-year or 10 days of oppression that was promised to the earlier groups, and now
You said 1881. That sounds like 1881. That sounds like back around the time of sounds like a mud flood period. One of those time areas where there was a minor reset, you might say. But anyways, keep going. Hello?
So
yeah, go ahead.
So the next thing that I was getting to was this 150 time period. That covers the fifth seal. Now the fifth seal, when it opened, it tormented men with you remember the locust that came up out of the pit for the 5-month period of time. And they explained that this 5-month period of time was 150 days. And they said a prophetic day is equivalent to an actual year. So when they speak of 5 months or 150 days, that's 150 years, which corroborates with their timeline that they were convinced of. I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, but I'm just saying this all really made a whole lot more sense than everything getting discombobulated and people trying to make chronological sense of the book of Revelation. So with that, I found, and this came out, I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, but an author by the name of Furstenberg, I think Arthur Furstenberg, came out with The Invisible Rainbow. I don't know if you've heard of The Invisible Rainbow.
No, I haven't. I've heard of something called a black rainbow.
Yeah, this is the Invisible Rainbow, but he documents all of the transmissions that came up, ever since the telegraph, and then radio, and then radar during the wars, and now we're getting into web internet signals, and this documentation since the telegraph and the electrical lines, where people were getting sick, and there was massive epidemics of disease and people getting sick, but they attribute it to the electrical frequencies in the air.
Yeah, I did a documentary on just that subject called Operation Radiation. Me and Shannon helped me with it some. What's that been now? About 3 or 4 years ago we did that.
About
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. And because that's what, they're blaming it on this, blaming it on that, but they have to have a cover story for all of the deaths and sickness and everything. So that makes sense to me.
Right. So when you look at it and the imagery of it, because that's the thing when I was studying under a guy, or he was sharing, his study of Revelation, he made this point. He says, you have to keep things in context. Is this real or is it figurative?
Uh-huh.
And it's a lot like professional wrestling. Is it real or is it fake? Well, it's both. But you can't take a literal sense and apply it to, daily things, but you can get, similarities and kind of make connections. It doesn't have to be, concrete, but if it's going to be revealed to you, it's going to be for your benefit and be a source of encouragement and hope, not something to fret over or fash over or be troubled and distraught.
Right.
So when these locusts come out of the pit and they make a noisome sound in the air, what are frequencies?
Okay.
For 150 years.
Okay.
That was the kicker. That was the one that really kind of gave me the connection. And maybe this is just, this is a lot of information. I'm kind of throwing this out because I haven't heard it anywhere else. I haven't heard anybody talk about this historical perspective.
Well, I'm a person that'll look at anything that, because if you get a lock knee position on certain things, you're never going to get to the truth, because locked knees will keep you from being able to get there. You got to be open to concepts. And that is kind of interesting what you said about the 150 years and the radiation signals and the, but I'd have to, of course, look at it a lot closer and try to make some sense out of it. And maybe.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not trying to convince you of it right off the bat. I'm just kind of throwing it at you.
You're
like, what's
sharing. And that's what I wanted, exactly. People to call in and share things. And so, yeah, I would love to. Matter of fact, I would like to take a closer look at it. I don't think we're going to be able to accomplish it on this call or this video. Would you be all right with us speaking a little bit more in detail, and then maybe even have you on the show, sometime where you could elaborate on some of this stuff some more, because at this point we're pretty much about at the end of the show. But let me do this. I'm trying to see. I've got your number because you called in on the Supernatural Show number. So what I'll do is when I get out of the show here, I will send you a text, and then that'll be coming from my cell phone number, okay? And so it'll be an 843 number. And didn't you say you're down in like Charleston or something?
No, I'm actually up in North or South Dakota.
Oh, you're in South Dakota. Okay. Well, either way, I'll send you a text when I get off the show here, which won't be just a few minutes, and I'll
South Dakota.
We can talk some more.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share this exciting news.
You're very welcome, and we may, like I say, I'll talk to you some more. We might have you on the show so we can go more into depth in it. And we always need to consider information. Doesn't mean we have to believe it. Doesn't mean we have to go along with it. But you need as much information as you can get in order to be able to find what you're looking for, that kind of thing. So
I agree.
All right. Well, brother, thank you very much for calling in, and I'll be talking to you here in just a little while.
All right. Listen to you all.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Bye now.
Bye. Well, that was cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting. You never know what you're going to get when you do a call-in show, and people got creative and said, oh, heck, if I can't call in, I know he's got a phone number. I'm going to call in.
Right.
It worked out.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah,
he's got some stories to tell, that guy. Sure enough. That'll be interesting. I look forward. I hope to get his link. I want to listen to him do that in the Scottish dialect.
Right.
That'll be neat.
I'm pretty sure he'll hook us up. So if I can, I'll have a conversation or two with him. But if I can, I'll get him on the show, and so we can talk to him in person and stuff. And we're going to have to have you back again too, Chris. I can tell Chris likes coming on the show, so we'll have to.
I like how you Changed your hat mid-show.
Anytime I can be in your presence, Daniel, I want to be there, Bubba. You know, when you prayed over me about our throat and you had your throat was hurting and stuff.
My
Bubba,
throat was hurting after I
I don't
prayed for
know.
you.
Yeah. My pain is a third of what it had been. Since we did that, my pain has lessened. Now, I'm not saying anything else other than my pain truly has lessened.
Yeah, I know.
It's as if you took part. It's as if you took on part of my pain. Thank you, Daniel.
Well, a lot of people listening might
I don't
not
know
know.
how true any of that. You know, I don't know how all that. All I know is that I felt less pain, and it was after you and I had that love fest. And thank you.
Well, thank God. Sometimes when I've
Yeah,
prayed for
thank
people
God.
in the when I've prayed for people in the past, what happens? I've never explained this publicly, I don't think. But what happens is that whatever that person is experiencing, like if they've been burned, and I'm praying for them because they've had some burns, or if they've uh, like one lady had a cancer on the back of her leg, um, and just numerous other situations where I will experience the symptoms that person was experiencing within a few days of me praying for that person. I get the symptoms. So when Chris, he's having problems with his throat, and he was diagnosed with some words that we're not going to give honor to speak, but we prayed for Chris live on air, and Chris was at that time he was halfway across the country. Luckily, he's back over towards this neck of the woods now. But we prayed for him, and a few days later, I come down with what felt like a sore throat, and my neck was hurting so bad that I couldn't even turn my head hardly either direction. And for the first 12 hours, I didn't realize what was going on. But then Father reminded me of my other experiences, like the lady that had cancer on her leg, where her cancer fell off within the week. It came on my leg in the exact same spot that it was on her leg after it had fallen off of hers. And these are things you start to notice, or like when you pray for somebody that's been burned, the inside of your mouth will peel out, or your hands will peel. Things like this go on when at least in my experience, in my journey, that's what happens is that I experience sympathetic pains or sympathetic experience of what that person was going through. And so I give all credit to Father in heaven, though, for your gains and improvements, because I can tell by a long shot you're doing a lot better than you were a month or so ago. You're doing a lot.
I really am.
Your
Man.
emotional state is 10 times better. Your confidence in where you're at is 10 times better. And I say hallelujah, thank you God for helping my brother Chris. And I give all the glory to you, God, right here in front of all the thousands of people that'll be watching this video. I give you the glory. I'm nothing but your child trying to do what you asked me to do. And it's not something I talk about a lot because I don't want to be called a poser or anything. I don't give myself any labels. I let other people deal with the labels. I just am a child of God, and I try to do the best I can. Yet I'm still a sinner, and yet I'm still not perfect. And y'all guys need to realize that you don't have to be perfect like you're walking in Jesus's footsteps exactly in order to do great things in this world. Great things can be done without you thinking, oh, I've got to be absolutely perfect or I'm not righteous enough to do anything. You are. You're good enough. So
you better believe it.
Yeah. Guys, Shannon, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love you guys, but I am not in my normal studio, and
Right.
there's a situation
Okay.
going down right now. So
We're getting out of here anyways.
all right.
So,
Well, I
all right.
love you
Well,
guys.
you're safe though, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm, that's why I'm going to go now. So.
Okay. All right. Well, bye then.
I love you guys. God bless. Thank you so much for coming on our show. And again, so sorry for all the technical difficulties on my side. I'm not in my normal space, but I'm really glad I got to hear all the supernatural stories with you guys and share a little bit. And today was a very intriguing conversation.
Yeah. Turned out way better than I was nervous it would. When thanks to Chris and our callers. Wow.
Yay.
Very cool. All right, Shane, we'll let you go. And
Bye.
guys, we're
God
going to
bless
get
you
on
guys.
and we're going to go ahead and get on out of here, guys. I love you. I hope that you enjoyed the show again today. And I love you, brother Chris. And I hope that I'm just so glad that you're doing better. I can see it in you that you're doing
Thank you,
better.
Dan.
You're heading
Thank you,
toward
brother.
toward your glorious recovery. Don't let
A
nobody
little help from my friends, brothers. A little help from my friends made a big difference. Love y'all.
I love you too, brother. So with that being said, we'll see y'all guys next time here on the Supernatural Show.
Night, y'all.